Is this major outside star set to debut in WWE? And this AEW talent has their eye on the Wembley Stadium main event. But first, let's take a look at the key stories from last night's episode of AEW Dynamite, where a former champion made their return to television. Following a match that would see the Outcast Saraya defeat Willow Nightingale, Hikaru Shida would show up to seemingly align with the heels during the post-match attack. However, it soon became clear that this was a swerve, this when the Outcasts held Willow ready for Shida to spray paint her in the face, before she instead sprayed Saraya, allowing Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker to clear the ring. The former AEW Women's World Champion, Shida, hasn't been seen in an AEW ring since the January 2nd edition of AEW Dark Elevation, where they're now evening the odds in the continuing feud between the Outcasts and the AEW Homegrown Stars. Elsewhere on the show, the AEW World Trios champions, the House of Black, would appear in a pre-taped video package where they laid out a challenge to the rest of the roster. Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, Brody King, and Julia Hart would explain the rules for what will be known as the Open House, where any free competitors can challenge for their titles in an open challenge scenario. However, there are some rules that must be followed. First, there will be a 20-second countout, meaning there is nowhere to run. There will also be no rope breaks, forcing the participants to fight. And third and finally, disqualification will be in place in order to ensure a fair fight for the belts. Later in the night, the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn would come out on top in the trio's battle royal, with commentary noting that they could be next in line to accept the Open House challenge, something we will likely hear more about in the coming days. Now let's get to what happened in the main event of last night's AEW Dynamite, where Jungle Boy Jack Perry would team with Darby Allin to take on Sammy Guevara and AEW World Champion MJF in tag team action. As per the stipulation, if Jack and Darby were able to overcome the two men who are set to compete against each other at Double or Nothing for the title, then they too will be added to the match. Well, in the end, it was Allin's coffin drop that secured the spot in the main event of AEW's next pay-per-view, with this following a blind tag on Perry, a sign that the two men are only friends for one night only. This means that AEW Double or Nothing in Las Vegas, Nevada will now be headlined by a four-way match between all four pillars of the promotion for the AEW World Championship, with the show set to go down on May 28th in just over 2 weeks' time. Yesterday would mark the 10th anniversary of arguably the most influential faction of the past decade, Bullet Club, which formed on May 3rd at New Japan Pro Wrestling's Dontaku event in 2013. The original group would consist of Prince Devitt, the now Finn Balor in WWE, Tama Tonga and Carl Anderson, before going on to evolve over the years to include the likes of the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles. Speaking with Sports Illustrated this week, Finn Balor would discuss how the group came to be, first revealing some of the original ideas that he had for the group's name. He would reveal that Bullet Parade, Reload Club, Lock and Load Club, Lock and Load Parade, and Getaway Club were all considered, this before he settled on the name Bullet Club, with him adding how the process came to be. And he would say, "Originally, it was just going to be me and Farley, but the office saw how close I was with Carl Anderson and Tama Tonga and how we would spend every minute of the day together. So they asked me to come up with a name and extend our backstage relationship to the ring. I was trying to pick a name that tied us all together. Carl was the machine gun, Farley had been calling his finisher the hand grenade, and Minoru Suzuki had been calling me a real shooter for some months, as we would roll submission wrestling in the ring before the shows. To me, Bullet Club sounded the coolest. However, I had mild concerns as the Japanese would sometimes mispronounce bullet as beret, but I chose to go with my gut, and the rest is history." Cody Rhodes would appear in the same article, with him revealing the impact Bullet Club had on his career during his hiatus from WWE, and said, "That group was known for kicking people's ass and being volatile, but what I'll always remember is the friendships. That's the time in my life when I created a bond with three guys, the elite, that will never be shaken. Because of Bullet Club, we were able to change the wrestling world. I never would have got that without Finn Balor, and I never would have reached that level without the Bullet Club. I am very grateful for the Bullet Club." Over the course of the group's lifespan, many offshoots and spin-offs have formed, including former sub-faction The Elite, who would go on to play a pivotal role in the creation of All Elite Wrestling, with WWE even wanting a piece of the action, having launched Balor Club merchandise when they first signed Finn Balor, and the OC faction, which stands for the original club, still find a spot on the active roster. As for the original group itself, the Japanese branch of the Bullet Club is now led by David Finlay Jr. and is seemingly on a collision course with the AEW AEW side of the faction, Bullet Club Gold, led by Jay White and Juice Bullet Club Gold, which is Jay White and Juice Robinson, with a match likely set for the Forbidden Door show next month. And next, AEW President Tony Khan has announced the promotion's newest signing, with him taking to Twitter last night to confirm that former Fightful podcast host Will Washington is set to join the promotion in a backstage role. There has been some buzz on Twitter over the past few days following the announcement that Will was set to leave his podcasting duties for Fightful and Grapsody, with him now securing a key role in All Elite Wrestling. The news would first be broken by Tony Khan on Twitter, who would write, "He's the new AEW Wrestling Administration Coordinator, working in many areas of wrestling, live events, social media, creative, PR. He has a great wrestling mind. He's here backstage tonight at Wednesday night AEW Dynamite live on TBS, and it's official, Will Washington is All Elite." Will's former employer Fightful would then take to their Select service to further confirm Washington's duties in AEW, with them noting, "Washington will be serving as Director of Wrestling Administration for the company." Some talent were told of the move at the April 26 AEW Dynamite after a deal was agreed to in the week prior. Among the duties, Washington will be helping with overseeing continuity and aiding in long-term creative, working directly with Tony Khan. He'll also be contributing to live events, social media, and PR. The report would note that whilst Will did previously work as a news contributor for Fightful, with him often breaking some key backstage stories in wrestling, it was confirmed that he is contractually forbidden from leaking any stories to the media due to a conflict of interest, especially with him playing a key role in the creative process. During the WWE Q1 2023 earnings call on May 4th, WWE Chief Content Officer Triple H shared his long-term vision for WWE Creative, highlighting a recent storyline that has reached a whole new level. After Nick Khan confirmed that the recent company takeover by the Endeavor Group won't affect the creative process, Triple H would reveal his goal for long-term storytelling and his vision for the product, and he would say, "As far as what we're focused on character development. I think you see that across storylines where our fans are super engaged in the talent. Let's take Sami Zayn and the Bloodline over the last couple of years really, but especially in the last 6 to 8 months, where that story and the character development has reached a whole new level. It has our fans invested and excited in the content like they haven't been in a long time. For us, extending the planning of the event horizon, looking out year over year where we want to be next year, and then backtracking from there, so that we're always ahead of the curve and always thinking ahead. That allows us to have better planning, and then it's just trying new things and getting outside of a box of what we do and seeing what works and what doesn't. I don't consider something not working a failure, I consider it learning. Really excited about the future and where we can take all of this." Following the announcement that the Endeavor Group was set to purchase WWE in order to merge the business with their UFC property, fans instantly began to fantasy book which MMA fighters could show up inside a wrestling ring, none more so than former UFC double champion Conor McGregor. This talk would then lead to brief social media interactions between Conor and the Bloodline's special counsel Paul Heyman, an interaction that would step up a notch last night. Notorious would take to Twitter to claim that he will show up to WWE SummerSlam in August to call Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman out of their bus, a reference to a real-life incident in the lead-up to his fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov, with him noting, "SummerSlam I'll pull in on the yacht, Roman and Paul out of the bus. I'm gonna suplex Paul Heyman on sight. You're barking up the wrong tree, Paul Heyman. I've lost count of the number of bodies I've seen take their last breath. Watch your back for life." It's unclear how serious these claims are or if Conor McGregor to WWE is a real possibility, although there are few, if any, fighters with more crossover power than McGregor, with him having the promo ability to match. On August 27th, All Elite Wrestling takes over Wembley Stadium, with All in London set to be the promotion's first show outside of North America. At last count, the pre-sale for the event has already sold an impressive 47,000 tickets, more than doubling AEW's current attendance record in less than 2 days, with it also smashing the all-time wrestling attendance in England. One man that appears to have big ambitions for the show is Adam Cole, who is currently caught up in a feud with Jericho Appreciation Society, although he appears to have his eye on AEW's top prize come the summer. Speaking with Monopoly Events this week, Cole would lay out his plans to main event Wembley for the AEW World Championship, whilst also naming other possible opponents, and he would say, One of the best things about AEW is there are so many countless possibilities of these absolutely incredible matches that could happen. In regard to the Wembley show, I don't think I've ever been more excited for a show in my entire life. This will certainly be the biggest show I've ever been involved in. When you look at all the possible matchups, I think about me against Jay White could be cool, me against Kenny Omega would be something I'd really like. At the end of the day, regardless of who the opponent is, if I could challenge for the AEW World Championship at All In, that's all I'm focused on.